and NFTs are unregulated and can be highly risky. There may be no regulatory recourse for any loss from such transactions.
हेलो क्रिप्टो क्रांति के ब्रांड न्यू एपिसोड में आपका स्वागत है। मैं हूं अंकित और आज का एपिसोड एक बहुत ही खास डिस्कशन है विद टू इनक्रेडिबल इंडियन वुमेन इन वेब 3। ना हालांकि दीज आर वुमेन इन वेब 3 और हम उसकी चर्चा भी करेंगे, लेकिन अगर आप उन लोगों में से हैं जो वेब 3 में करियर बनाना चाहते हैं तो फिर ये एपिसोड आपके लिए मस्ट वॉच है। नोटपैड निकालिए, नोट्स लीजिए। Let's start. And इसके ऊपर बात करने के लिए we've got two absolutely incredible women today on the CoinSwitch Kuber channel. Say big hello to Aditi Chopra and Swati Agrawal. Yay! Trumpets कहाँ चले गए? Drums चाहिए. Ladies for making the time. इसके पहले that we dive into some very loaded questions और ये काफी loaded conversation होने वाला है. I would love to give you all, let's say, 30 seconds to 60 seconds अपना elevator pitch देने के लिए कि आप क्या करते हैं. Instead of me saying what you do, I'm just passing the mic. I'm learning. Aditi, you want to start?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Ankit, to invite me here, and absolutely delighted to be with Swati on this panel. So what I do right now is two things. One is Moonshot Consulting, which is my consulting firm where we consult Web3 startups on growth, marketing, and community across India, Dubai, and US. We have over 40 clients right now. It's a team of 8 people and a bigger freelancer community of over 100. And along with that, now this is a project that I really want to highlight and talk about is Superwomen DAO, which is a DAO in the making community of women who want to get onboarded to Web3. So basically 2 verticals, learners and leaders in Web3. And we want to onboard them, help them get hired, help them raise, help them find opportunities that fit the bill for them, and just basically grow the ecosystem for women. So whatever was missed out in the Web2 side of things, in terms of including women as an equal partner, we want to rectify that with the onset of Web3 as a new tech revolution.
Phenomenal. Why Superwomen and not Wonder Women?
It just happened, honestly. It was never really planned. The whole thing was that I just wanted to do like a very casual soiree at my place to understand, how women are feeling. And one of the women, she's just like, hey, I'm going to make a WhatsApp group out of this community. And we were all like, cool, yeah. And I think super was a word that was really picking up in the Web3 space, in the DAOs and all. So I think someone just picked it up and we all stuck to it. Nobody ever really expressed any opinion or to want to change it. So yeah.
That's great. All right. Thanks so much for sharing, Aditi. Lovely to have you here. Swati.
Yes, first of all, thanks Ankit for calling me to this channel, and especially it's very special for me that I'm sharing this stage with Aditi, because before I knew that, I thought, yes, I have to, make some special mentions, and Aditi was one of them, and I couldn't have been happier to find out that Aditi is going to be here. But speaking about my journey, Ankit, I have mostly been into growth roles in Web3, and that's what I've been doing since the last 1 year, before I got out of Web2 startup and consulting space. So I come from a very traditional IIM sort of a background and then into consulting. But my Web3 journey started back in 2017, where I was a content writer, where I didn't know much about how the space was going to evolve. And that is also something that probably got me into my B school. I still remember like this question from an alum panelist, right? And he asked me, Swati, okay, so what is it that you're following right now, which is exciting in business? And I was like, hey, this new thing called crypto? This was early 2018. Crypto had just like crashed. And he was like, do you know that just crashed 50% last month? And I was like, yes, and it's going to be the people who are going to change it. I really said that. I laugh at it now, but I don't know whether I made it or I didn't make it, or barely missed out on not making it because of that. But yes, that was the starting. And then like most of the crypto winter that followed, I was pursuing my MBA, doing my consulting stint. But after I had my startup experience leading growth, where the company got acquired by a publicly listed firm, this was a travel tech company where I was leading growth, I wanted to come back to Web3. My husband and I both took that plunge, and he started, of course, Polysynth. He's the CEO founder. And I started my own DAO. Back then, it was completely anonymous as a CEO founder back with my college mates, and lots of learnings there. And I realized I wanted to stay in this industry for long. So what I specifically specialize in, or like I grew to specialize in, was more of BD, marketing, partnership, growth roles, understanding the macroeconomics that go behind designing growth engines very specific to Web3. So that's what I do now. And using that particular skill set, I worked at Polyson to grow the audience there, delve more into partnerships, think about how to get retail audiences onto a platform, which is like super complicated DeFi for most audiences. That's not a very easy nut to crack. So thinking about that, and that was actually like the birth point of Olive. How do you make crypto investments more easily accessible to the masses, more easily accessible to someone who has been left out in the traditional world from gaining access to opportunities that actually could be life changing, you know? And I just personally feel that Web3 has that, gives that opportunity to everyone. And if all of us can be somewhere a critical role player in enabling that, then why not take up a project like this? And that's how Olive was given birth to, and that's how I'm currently putting on the drawing board and trying to bring to life.
That's
And
amazing.
of course, this is a shameless plug that I'm looking for if people who want to help me in this journey.
No, hey, we love shameless plugs. We're all about it. But thank you. That was quite a long elevator ride for the elevator page.
We went to the 100th floor.
Yes, absolutely. So let's come to some words that I picked out from what you said, Swati, and that was left out. That really resonated with me, and it may not have the most positive connotation, लेकिन मैं उसका जिक्र इसलिए करना चाहता हूं क्योंकि पूरी दुनिया के लिए Web3 is something जो आने वाला है. आप उन फाउंडर्स, मैवरिक्स, पायनियर्स, एक्सप्लोरर्स में से हैं जिनके लिए आज की तारीख में Web3 आ चुका है, क्योंकि आप लोग एक्टिवली काम कर रहे हैं Web3 के लिए. इस डिस्कशन को देके होपफुली लोगों में प्रेरणा जगेगी कि मैं भी उसका फ्यूचर नहीं, उसको प्रेजेंट बनाना चाहती हूं या चाहता हूं. सो Web2 की दुनिया, यानी इंटरनेट की दुनिया, रेगुलर धंधे पानी की दुनिया, विमेन्स वर्कफोर्स पार्टिसिपेशन, ये इंडिया के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में महीने दर महीने, क्वार्टर दर क्वार्टर, साल दर साल, खास करके पैंडेमिक की बदौलत काफी घटते जा रहा है. विमेन्स वर्कफोर्स पार्टिसिपेशन. अब उसके ऊपर ढेर सारी टिप्पणियां हुई हैं, ढेर सारे डिस्कशंस हुए हैं कि क्यों और कैसे विमेन बेयर अ बिगर ब्रंट ऑफ एनी बिग चैलेंज जो सोसाइटी को फेस करना पड़ता है. तो आपसे पहले जानना चाहूंगा, अदिति, सुपर वुमेन डाओ के जरिए आप इतनी औरतों से, फाउंडर्स से, लड़कियों से, लर्नर्स से बात कर रही होंगी, क्या आइडियाज शेयर हो रहे हैं या डिस्कस हो रहे हैं ताकि विमेन डोंट गेट लेफ्ट आउट जब एक नई इंटरनेट की रचना, नए Web3 की रचना होने जा रही है? पहले की Web2 की गलतियों को कैसे नहीं दोहराया जाए? क्या बातें हो रही हैं उसके ऊपर?
So, Ankit, the first thing, सबसे पहली चीज जो है, that's leaders. So what happened क्या होता है ना कि जब आप किसी भी इंडस्ट्री में देखते हो जहाँ पे इक्वल पार्टिसिपेशन होता है, सबसे पहला industry careers are looked as aspirational fields, right? So if I don't find enough aspirational role models, I will always feel like, oh, this is a men-dominated society, which it sort of became, right? Why there's so much limelight on Intra and OEM. There are very few women that actually come up when we talk about this. There are lesser women. So it just feels like, okay, women are trying to make their space in a men's world. वो नहीं होना चाहिए. It should be status quo. That yes, it's a leader. The leader जो हमारे back noted sort of connotations हो जाते हैं, वो ये हो जाते हैं कि oh, leader है तो male होगा. हमारे language में वो चीज perceive हो जाती है. तो सबसे पहले तो that awareness and understanding that if it's a leader, doesn't have to be male. The way we talk, the way we address, and bringing more and more women to the leadership positions. Web3 के थ्रू ये करना easy है because it's still a small community. जैसे कि आपने बोला, ecosystem अभी small है, but fast growing है, और technology है सबसे बड़ी बात. तो that's one space कि जितने leaders को highlight कर सको. अब वो media series हो जैसे आप कर रहे हैं, या फिर वो VCs के through funds का access accelerate कराना हो, या फिर women को वो power और empower, education देना और empower करना कि नहीं, you can build something, you know, even with everything that's going on in your life. You want to build something while studying in a college, do that. You want to build something while starting a family, building a family, do that. You want to build a business while being in a joint family, which is very, very India-centric situation, you do that. So वो empower कैसे करना है उन women में first जो intent रखती हैं कि नहीं, मुझे पहले अपने लिए ये चीज change करना है. That's what we're trying to do with Superwomen. अब ideas में इसके लिए बहुत सारी tangible situations हैं, solutions हैं. एक चीज जो हम करना चाह रहे हैं वो है कि VCs के साथ एक pipeline बनाना चाह रहे हैं कि women founders को एक थोड़ा accelerated access मिल जाए और एक discounted allocation मिल जाए. कि नहीं. I mean, there are a lot of accelerators and also चल रहे हैं, but इतने limelight, इतनी common notion नहीं हुए हैं अभी भी. So that's one thing which we are working, which we recently started working on. Second is education and connection. So क्या होता है ना, किसी भी चीज में शुरू करने के लिए पहले आपको intent बनाना है उस इंसान में. In Web3 space also, you would see not a lot of women were turning up, even when there have been events and activities and initiatives, hackathons, वगैरह, जहाँ पे I have seen the invite list. Which was 40-60%, which is still a decent percentage, but hardly you will see women in single digits. So वो पहले उनको एक conducive environment देना कि नहीं, आप यहाँ आ सकते हो, आप यहाँ minority नहीं हो, you will find other women like yourself who are going through same journeys. So वो वाला thing, the networking and education part is something which we've been doing actively. And the third part is on the mentor wala side, the ideas which are basically discovered on the discussed under this tutelage is how do we get women more mentors, that who can work with them on a one-on-one journey. Right now, Swati's done so many things, and she sort of understands personally that, hey, this is how I can navigate this is how I can navigate this is how I can understand market and timing and all of those things. So for all of the young women who are starting, either young professionals or women who want to start in Web3 for their careers right after college, that's the third thing that we want to look at and have been discussing on.
That's amazing. Lovely, lovely points. सबसे पहले तो रोल मॉडल्स, लीडर्स तैयार करना जो आइकॉन्स बन सकें, आइडल्स बन सकें इस स्पेस के लिए. दूसरा है एजुकेशन एंड तीसरा है मेंटोर्स की सेना तैयार करना या मेंटोरशिप मॉडल्स जो इंक्लूसिव हैं उन्हें तैयार करना. लवली. स्वाति, आपसे जानना चाहूंगा, दीज आर ग्रेट पॉइंट्स. आपके मुताबिक क्या आइडियाज या क्या फ्रेमवर्क्स या स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं जिसके ऊपर काम किया जाना चाहिए ताकि Web3 एक इक्विटेबल इंडस्ट्री बने कंपेयर टू Web2 इंटरनेट, जो जनरली काफी बदनाम रहा है कि फ्रैट बॉय कल्चर, सिलिकॉन वैली कल्चर, व्हिच इज मोस्टली जस्ट men who are just man childs जो बना रहे हैं कंपनियां. एंड बहुत सारा देखा हमने, राइट? फिर चाहे वो WeWork हो, अर्ली डेज ऑफ Uber हो, एक काफी अनहेल्दी और टॉक्सिक कल्चर सब जगह परपेचुएट हो गया था. तो वो गलतियां हम कैसे ना करें?
Ankit, this is something जो मैं रोज सोचती हूँ, right? Because I come from that pipeline where I have seen one girl sitting in a class of 9 other guys in computer science, and this was the regular sight. And it got slightly better in my postgrad days. It got slightly better with big corporations because they had a mandate. But what about new companies? Like Web3 is a new company. We need to rewind the clock and go back to 80s. And I'm saying this because my mom is a comp science engineer from then. And
Wow.
like literally her college gang is like 5 girls, and all of them going to the States because it was not even possible to have like a very fruitful computer science related career in India, right? And it starts from there itself the mistake was made that those people, ek to पांच ही थे, that is a problem. उन पांचों को भी आपने यूएस भेज दिया because they couldn't do something meaningful here. So what I have seen, that I have been very, very fortunate, Ankit, to be in a position where college se hi, that grassroots level things were solved for. I had access to peer group from which I could, just imbibe these things without, paying a big cost for it. And these things were made accessible. I didn't realize these things back then, but these are so critical. I was introduced to Bitcoin, Ethereum. I had a Bittrex wallet back in 2017 because of these two guys who came to me from this hostel, and you're like, "Dekh, bro, ye kitni cool cheez hai, right? Like, look at this, and it's like a new tech. It's really cool. Hum ye kar rahe hain. Like, why don't you?" And that was it. That was enough to get me here in a position where I am able to navigate these things. Now, if I think about creating, this is it's not a 1 day thing, it's not a 1 week thing, it's a whole mindset thing as well. How does everyone become sensitive to the fact that everyone does have the capabilities to contribute to the space? I think so the biggest is a mindset shift. I want to say all the things that Aditi has very rightly said already, that mentorship, putting in place role models, making opportunities accessible, all these things are like tangible things that everyone needs to do. But in terms of intangibles, I want to add that all of us need to change our mindset, that, a lot of people have a mindset that coding is something only people, who are great at math and science can do. This is not necessary, right? It's a mindset that we grow up with, and it's time and again, people have shown that this is not necessary. Airbnb founders were not mathematicians, scientists, or computer scientists, right? So appreciating the skill sets that come with diversity. For example, I'll tell you, I was going through a lot of roles in Web3, more than half of them. And I will quote the statistics when I have them, maybe. More people were needed on the marketing, content creation, community management, more empathy related roles as compared to a Solidity developer, right? I get it that probably you're 30-year-old and it's too late that you think that it's not enough time to learn programming from scratch. I get that. We cannot change that. But what we can do right now is realize that there are far more greater ways in which women can contribute to this new ecosystem, right? Making available these opportunities, thinking that there's a space for these kind of skills in the new ecosystem, which there is, because Web3 by definition, it comes with three things. A, it is identity-less by theory, right? The gender roles do not get defined by, or like the professional roles do not get defined by our identities like gender, race, creed, religion, all that. That is a great thing. That's a huge relief. Two, it is a place where remote work, flexible work, all of that is welcome. So it's a much more welcoming environment for someone. And I'm saying this because I'm a young mom. And sometimes I do feel, oh shit, I'm just stuck at home not because I'm not capable of going outside and being a part of the hackathon, but because, oh, I cannot leave my husband in charge because I don't want the swollen head of my baby when I come back.
Wow.
I'm saying a very real thing, right? So now because we're a team and we need to work together, I'm like, okay, you go, you tell me whatever was happening there, I'll be here. This is a very real thing. But why do I love Web3? Because I can sit at home or be wherever I want and do my work, right?
Right.
So if I have those skill sets, I have the opportunity now to use them in ways that I couldn't earlier. Now think of a great content writer back in the 90s. She would have had to go to an office, she'd sit on a typewriter and do a publication, right? Now that in itself is a huge barrier. So just the ability to, the information and the participation barriers are now gone down thanks to technology, like Aditi said, right? Thanks to technology. And I think this mindset needs to roll a little bit more. Like, I think people are still just espousing that mindset that abhi bhi, like a job means, or being able to contribute means to be able to go outside and do all of that. I was in that same boat. I'm guilty of making that same mistake. And then I realized, no, that doesn't have to be true. I was the CEO and founder of a company sitting while I was 6 months pregnant onto my laptop and having raised money from the community, having gotten more than 13,000 members on the community. So that gave me the confidence to believe that this is something that will enable cultural shifts, professional shifts, and the shifts in the ways of working, right? I hate this definition of why am I not the CEO of my house, right? I have like staff, I have like everything. I have so many operational responsibilities, which is probably like, I am saying this because it's more difficult sometimes than running a company. So we're very far behind on changing that mindset. That will probably never come. But I think what we can do tangibly is, of course, Web3 is powered by community. That is one very important aspect that makes these opportunities. So barriers related to information and barriers related to access. These are two of the biggest things. Barriers related to information are reduced by, the great work that people like Aditi are doing at Superwomen DAO and a lot of other, communities that I'm a part of. Every job posting is over there. There are like portals which are very open and, inviting people where you can, I bet my bottom dollar, even if someone is just willing to work 6 months on a volunteering basis for a DAO or for a protocol, in just 6 to 7 months, they will be ready to learn enough and to have enough skill sets to either be a part of something that's doing something in Web3 or start something of their own. Isn't that true, Aditi? Would you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, probably even lesser than that if you dedicated
Lesser than
that.
So that information barrier has gone down. The access barrier has gone down. All I need is a laptop. So I think this is something that women need to feel more confident about. And we need to just keep doing this good work to make it believable that, yes, this is possible.
Absolutely.
This is possible. If you have an idea, and no skills are undervalued. I think a lot of women have come to me and the first statement that they start with is, Swati, we don't know Solidity. We don't know programming. How can we contribute? I'm like, you don't have to know. Like my marketing team is bigger than the tech team. Everything is open source. It doesn't matter. You will learn it. It doesn't
True.
matter. You will learn it. And there's no need to feel like, because I have felt like that on a lot of occasions where I even started, like, I started learning Python. I did
Oh my God.
zombies, and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Why am I not focusing on the things that I'm good at?
The skills that you're good at. Absolutely. No, the imposter syndrome kicks in for everybody at some point in time as well. More so for women. Yeah. No, great points that you spoke about, information and access, and we'll come to that. लेकिन मुझे लगता है आपने जो mindset की बात की, ये आपने बहुत ही कैजुअली, बहुत ही गहन, बहुत ही डीप चीज कह दी इसमें, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कई बार हम खुद हमारा सबसे बड़ा हर्डल या हमारी बाधा बन जाते हैं, क्योंकि हम सोचते हैं मैं नहीं कर सकता या कर सकती। कोडिंग की क्या जरूरत है जब आज की तारीख में नो कोड इज एज गुड एज कोडिंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ प्लेटफॉर्म्स एंड टूल्स। एंड लिटरली जैसे आपने कहा, क्योंकि एक पूरे नए इंटरनेट की रचना रची जा रही है, तो इसमें सिर्फ कोडर्स और इंजीनियर्स और डेवलपर्स और प्रोग्रामर्स नहीं चाहिए, हर कोई चाहिए, इनोवेटर्स चाहिए, थिंकर्स चाहिए एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट। अदिति, मैं एक स्पेसिफिक सवाल आपसे पूछना चाहता हूं, क्योंकि आई एम श्योर आपके जो सुपर वुमेन डाओ के मीटअप्स वगैरह होते हैं, आप सैकड़ों हजारों औरतों से मिल चुकी होंगी जो Web3 में इंटरेस्टेड है। पहले तो सिर्फ जिज्ञासा की स्टेज होगी कि ये आखिर क्या है, ये तिलस्मी चीज क्या है, व्हाट इज एवरीबॉडी टॉकिंग अबाउट। उसके बाद जब थोड़ा इंफॉर्मेशन मिल जाता है, आई थिंक कुकी क्रम्बल हो जाता है। और ये उन लोगों के लिए भी हो सकता है जो मुंबई, दिल्ली, हैदराबाद, बैंगलोर जैसे मेट्रो सेंटर्स में है, या टियर 1, टियर 2, जहां पे मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द बल्क ऑफ पॉपुलेशन है इस देश में, वर्कफोर्स का। मैसेज कैसे भेजें, किसी को एक्सेस कैसे करें, बिकॉज अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल जो पावर सेंटर्स में हैं, जो अथॉरिटेटिव पोजीशंस में हैं, a lot of them are men, even now, especially जब Web3 क्रिप्टो क्रांति पैदा हो रही है, मे बी वो एक बैरियर बन सकता है मेंटली, माइंडसेट के मुताबिक, कि ओ आउच, कैसे भेजूं मैं, हाउ डू आई राइट टू दिस पर्सन, हाउ डू आई गेट एक्सेस। क्योंकि स्वाति ने कहा इंफॉर्मेशन, एक्सेस, ये तमाम चीजें हैं, इट्स देयर फॉर यू टू ग्रैब, लेकिन हमारा वही Web2 वाला माइंडसेट है। तो इसके लिए कोई एक्शनेबल टिप अगर आप दे पाएंगी, या अगर आप शेयर करती हैं, किसी को बताती हैं कि कैसे, हाउ डू यू गेट योरसेल्फ टू एक्चुअली सेंड दैट मैसेज टू समवन, देखिए मैं आपके साथ इंटर्नशिप करना चाहती हूँ, देखिए मैं आपके इस प्रोजेक्ट पे वॉलंटियर करना चाहती हूँ। सो इज लिंक्डइन अ गुड वे? क्रिप्टो वैसे ट्विटर पे काफी होता है, डिस्कॉर्ड पे होता है, इसके लिए कोई एक्शनेबल टिप्स मैं अदिति और स्वाति आप दोनों से सुनना चाहूंगा। पहले अदिति।
Got it. No, absolutely. In fact, what I'll tell you, Abhi, because this ecosystem is so small and it's growing so fast, everybody at all times are looking for someone or the other to come and join their company or to help them with someone, like on a regular basis. And this is something that Swati and I, and Swati and other people in the community also discussed, having a job board. It's not live yet, but we do plan to put it together. Not just for jobs, but a lot of side hustle opportunities and stuff like that. Because so the problem where, response rates are very, very high. I mean, today, if I were to reach out to someone and across platforms, because Web3 is sort of more semi-formal as opposed to, the established Web2 right now, because the intent is from both the sides, right? Everybody wants to hire fast and get with the work and the onboarding and everything. So tips, me, one thing though is being part of communities. Super, super helpful, right? Because again, there are fewer people, these concentrations of people who are in Web3 building and leading, they're at smaller hubs, at these tier 1 hubs, or basically concentrated communities. So being
Correct.
part of
क्योंकि
those,
जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल, सॉरी मैं आपको इंटरप्ट करूंगा एक दो बार,
it's a discussion.
ये सारे जो मीटअप्स होते हैं, ये एक तो मुझे इतना फोमो होता है, मैं खुद मुंबई में हूँ, आई शटल बिटवीन मुंबई एंड बेंगलुरु, लेकिन बैंगलोर में सारे मीटअप्स हो रहे होते हैं, और ऐसे लगता है पूरी दुनिया की रचना और घटना सिर्फ बेंगलुरु की हो रही है, एंड मतलब इतना फोमो हो जाता है। तो कैसे कम्युनिटीज ढूंढे? अगर हमें कोई भोपाल से देख रहा है, अगर हमें कोई लखनऊ, इलाहाबाद से देख रहा है, कैसे ढूंढे वो कम्युनिटीज, कहां मिलेंगे ये कम्युनिटीज?
Absolutely. So, सबसे पहली चीज तो ये है कि I'm sure when you join one particular community, right, there are always other people. तो लोगों से ही पूछना, that sort of helps. Second thing is there are websites and there are these community marketplaces. A friend of mine, Raj, he's building a community marketplace जहाँ पे आप communities discover कर सकते हैं जाके. Another friend from Super Team, Akash, he's put together a Discover DAOs kind of a platform जहाँ पे आप जाके और communities देख सकते हैं. What we are also trying to do is activate and launch chapters in different cities. Obviously, ये शुरू हमेशा बड़े और tier cities होगा, because more than attendees, you need the workforce, you need the people who can do and deliver on this. वो अभी वहीं पे है. So that is then. Then there are other initiatives like Web3 Bharat, a very good and a very young, enthusiastic chap who's building that. So he's focusing only on those communities. But ये communities exist करती हैं. अब इनको मैं ढूंढूं कैसे? तो it may not happen in a day or week's time. So for that, what I really need to do is become active in the ecosystem myself. The first place that I would suggest them to be active on is Twitter. एक बार आप ट्विटर पे होते हैं and आप जाके सिंपल सर्च करते हैं जयपुर Web3, इंदौर Web3. Some or the other event comes up. If the event doesn't come up, people come up. कल मुझे कोई एक लोग मिल जाएंगे वहां से. And once I find the people, I'm able to follow them and connect with them. That's a very organic process for me to discover things. So it's just that I have to put that effort of being out there. Right now, as a builder, it's fantastic to be building in silo. But as someone who wants to establish themselves in a more wholesome way in Web3, you have to be. Because कोई targeted marketing stack अभी है नहीं हमारे पास. सभी कुछ events, socials, यही सब चीजों से हो रहा है.
Correct.
So that's something that I would suggest.
Yeah.
Second thing is, if कुछ exist नहीं करता, that's an even bigger opportunity, right? This is an open call. That reach out to me. Happy to help you with starting chapters, with helping with the resources and bringing partners in, because there are more people at this time who want to reach a city than people who want to actually establish things. So if you have this grid that Kanpur doesn't have something and I want to start my own little community in Kanpur, doesn't take much. It's a WhatsApp group, a Telegram group, Twitter page, and the enthusiasm and intent in people is so high that I can 100% assure that you will get that organic interest. It may be a small community, big community, but it'll be an engaged community.
Beautiful. I loved how you broke it down. It is as simple as एक WhatsApp ग्रुप बनाना है या Telegram ग्रुप बनाना है और एक Twitter हैंडल सिर्फ शुरू कर देना है. So starting cost literally zero है. एंट्री बैरियर लिटरली जीरो है. ये मजेदार चीज है. हम जिस स्टेज में है Web3 एवोल्यूशन के कि कोई भी आ सकता है, but that also brings us to another set of challenges. उसकी बात करेंगे, safeguards and security and things like that. But Swati, कोई actionable tips अगर आप share करना चाहोगे?
Yes, of course. So this is just taking inspiration, Ankit, from how people who started coding on mainframes back in like 50 years ago in the States. The culture really caught up through colleges. हर सिटी में कुछ हो नहीं हो आर कॉलेज ग्रुप्स कुछ होता है या नहीं होता है, they're always enthusiastic students. And also why that helps is that it builds a grassroots structure for further learning and development of the community, right? So it's very easy. You want to open a club. I remember back in our days, anybody who could convince like 5 people and they just had to convince the college president, this is the need for this club and these are the activities that we're going to do. They were allowed to open a club. And that got formalized as a club. Agar up 3-4 years or like some number of years, you were into existence and you did some particular number of events. Now that is something that anybody can do, right? And like Aditi said, the great thing about Web3 is so many of these groups, I may not be able to, I also get that FOMO in sitting in Gurgaon that, oh shit, like puri dunya bhi Bangalore mein hai, or they are into 8th Denver or New York mein hai, and like I can't really leave my house because it's a very practical problem. I can't leave my baby. But how do I still keep plugged in onto the system? The easiest way to do that is WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups. They will give you the entire download ki abhi kya ho raha hai. I'll tell you a very real situation. I had my flights, everything booked to Singapore because token 2049 raha tha. I couldn't go because my baby fell sick. This is a very real situation. But I joined all these event groups, so I had a rough idea of what was happening there. Now this is okay, me sitting in still Delhi and Gurgaon. But speaking about more grassroots, I think that is the best way. Any enthusiast, if you're not a college student, then the other ways is like how Aditi said, it doesn't take anything to get 10 people. Those 10 people will get another 10 people. And then when you are a community, there's so many, and this is a hack for anybody who wants to build a community starting from zero. There are many, many new protocols, sidechain that actually actively give out grants. They may not be much depending upon how big they are or what is their use case for having a community on board. But just start evangelizing those projects, those sidechains. Let's say it's a new blockchain that's coming up. You really believe in that concept. Just get people to know more about it. And there are really material grants, even big protocols like Aave Harmony, all of these. आप उनकी website पे जाओ, access the grants if money is an issue. Get that grant. Get get that grant and use it to organize like just a little restaurant meetup, right? I get it that not everyone is in a position where we can like shell out money from our pocket and to create these things. If you can, brilliant. If that's not possible, these things are in place. They are very open, which is the great thing. You don't need to access some some middleman in the way and make a contact with the company. You can just simply go onto their Notion website, just access all these grants. Think of which issue you can be passionate about, right? So especially we are in India, right? And so many protocols, so many projects want to have an India chapter. Let's say there's an India chapter. Many protocols want to have a country, a city specific chapter. So all of these things can be done, are very like out there. If you're a college student, otherwise there are grants. These two are very, very like real ways of kickstarting your journey in Web3. The other thing, which I really, 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 really do, and I really want to encourage people to do, follow Web3 specific Twitter accounts, YouTube accounts. There are many people who are very happy and they keep posting regularly. Oh, we need someone to help with, let's say, content creation. We need someone to type out our newsletter, do some research work. So that's a way where you can learn and also help out that person. There are many people who, have been in the space for very long and they want people to help them out with, let's say, admin work. It can be something as little as that, right? Just DM. I think Steve Jobs once said, someone asked him on a podcast, right? How did you get to Packard, right? HP ka Hewlett Packard wala Packard. And he was like, oh, I called him up. That was his answer. And sometimes it's, I know like 50 DMs mein se ek DM would return, but that one DM would return, and it's like a half a day's effort. Just get to those accounts, their DMs are open. Just tell them, right? Like I've been following your channel, and this is something that I really love, and I want to grow my own knowledge and skill set in this space. So if you would be kind enough to just allow me like to work for you for 3 hours, and I'm sure like Web3 is so inclusive, nobody would say no.
लव द एक्शनेबल टिप्स जो आप शेयर कर रहे हो. मुझे तो बहुत सारा लिंक्डइन का वायरल कंटेंट इसमें से मिल रहा है बिकॉज ऑल ऑफ दीज आर गोइंग टू बी एपिक पोस्ट एंड आप सबको मैं टैग भी करूंगा जब मैं वो पोस्ट करूंगा. बट आई वांट टू क्विकली कम टू लिंक्डइन की बात की, वायरलिटी की बात की. तो रोल मॉडल्स, एक बात तो पक्की है कि क्रिप्टो क्रांति के इस एपिसोड के बाद अदिति एंड स्वाति, आप दोनों रोल मॉडल्स बन गई हैं फॉर bunch of users, bunch of people जो Web3 में आना चाहते हैं. लेकिन आप किसको लुकअप करती हैं, किसको पढ़ती हैं, किनको फॉलो करती हैं? Maybe women in Web3, maybe other amazing people in Web3. Let's go with you, Aditi, first, and then Swati.
This is like a lot of things, a lot of categories that I look up and follow. But I would like to first mention some of the women who were my inspiration to, not just start Superwomen, but actually base out and, hey, guys, these women have done so well, right? They're running their own DAOs, they're running their own organizations. And before Superwomen, we didn't have any women-centric Web3 community, at least in my knowledge in India. So we were like, hey, they're doing it and they're global organizations now, and this is the kind of change they've brought, in women's life in Web3. So something similar we can do. So there's Kavita. She was part of Consensus before, and now also runs a fund called Delta VC, and has also built a startup called FinTech TV. So multiple things she's done. I follow her because she obviously has a lot more experience, but somewhat similar experiences. For me, the kind of role models that I generally choose happens at a time in my life when I'm either stuck with something and I'm like, oh, now I don't know what to solve. So at that point, I'll try to look for someone who's gone through that, and that is a point where they become a role model for me. Or the second time is when I want to start something which I don't know anything about. So looking at Kavita's profile and Preeti Rakasi Reddy's profile at that point was very, very interesting, because these are two pioneering women, have worked across startups, VCs, have a great following, a lot of social knowledge that they're giving out. So these are two women. Then a lot of inspiration for the DAO that I'm building and how to be and how to create communities has also come from the other DAOs. Looking at what Super Team was able to achieve in India, then looking at Her DAO, Blue DAO, all of these communities which are doing fantastically well across the world, right? In terms of how are they delivering their events, how are they reaching women, what sort of tracks are they creating for women, what type of partnerships in terms of education they're looking at. So those little bits and pieces in terms of getting inspiration for building Superwoman DAO came from there. And this one plug I have to put for Julie Zhao. So Julie Zhao, she was the first PM at Facebook, and that was one time in my life. And this wasn't in Web3 particularly, but being at a company when I was, leading a team of over 20 people, sort of very young. My experience was what 2 years, 2.5 years, and the biggest problem that I was facing was with delegation. And this is across industries. A lot of people don't really know how to delegate, when to delegate, how to create that accountability. And I was the first person going into the office, the last person coming back, and I'm like, I've got a team. And whenever some things would go wrong, it would all come on to me. And I'm like, okay, nothing worked. I tried talking to people. Then I picked up this book, Making of a Manager. And it's super conversational. It actually tells you about those questions that, hey, when you sit down with an intern, when you sit down with, as in a supervisor capacity with your employee, when you sit down with as an employee with your manager, these are the kind of things that you ask. This is how you ask. This is what you look at. So a good mix of brevity and politeness in that book, and phenomenal. I mean, after that, I was like, some magic happened. I rubbed a genie lamp or something, but overnight I was a very good delegator. I mean, this is like a self-praise, but I was super happy with that. And at that point, I'm like, damn, Julie, you sold my life. She was just in Bangalore last month, and
Yeah.
I don't know the kind of hurdles that I went through traveling, from Goa on spots to trying to meet her, to traversing through a crowd to actually get to her, to getting autograph, all of those things. I think having role models beyond just learning, it also gives you a sense of inspiration and knowingness that, hey, it's nice to know these people who've done so much better and look up to them and constantly feel, okay, there's so much more that I have to achieve. So I mean, of course, I have 100 more plugins to put here, but I will stick to them.
Amazing. So cool. Thank you so much for sharing. Swati?
Yes, so Aditi said a lot of names that I also share in common, but I will tell you a slightly contrarian take there. So, till not too long ago, I actually thought of like my problems in a very gender agnostic manner. Okay, I used to think मेरे को सबसे बड़ी कंपनी बनानी है, ये है जेफ बेजोस, अच्छा इसने क्या किया था? I used to completely throw the gender conversation out of the window. And I used to just focus on, अच्छा ये करना है, ये सबसे best किसने किया है, I'll look at that person, ये जो भी करता है, I'll learn from that person, right? And but as I started to have a family and now a baby, that that thinking has sort of like evolved and changed because the problem set has changed. And in this particular context, like there are of course many women, they're not related to the Web3 space, but they help me grow in whatever I do. Be it Web3, be it kal ko samosa bechna, whatever, right? So because whatever.
I vote for Samosa Dao. I vote for Samosa Dao.
There is a samosa now already, by the way. Just saying, Swati, in case you wanna.
Okay, I'm going for Jalebi then. Jalebi Dao.
Because how you do anything is how you will do everything. So I was, without getting into, particular answers, I was trying to understand, okay, how do these women do whatever they do with such finesse? And these people, of course, include people like Sheryl Sandberg, Bumble's founder, Whitney, right? Because she was young, she's a mom. Nyka's founder, Faguni, right? And then there was, of course, Marissa Mayer. She has kids. She became a CEO when she was pregnant. So all of these like very real life things came into the picture. Of course, like I admired them for a very long time. But the parasocial relationship became much more real. And then there was a COO of Sushi. She's a woman. Not many people know that, but she's a woman. And there are people who write on Twitter, have a huge following. There's Tasha, there is Kinjal, there are other people like Aditi mentioned who are so active on Twitter. And, just to find the inspiration, okay, they have a similar, because it's very easy to say, अच्छा ठीक है इसके पास तो ये नहीं है करने को, so that's why this person is able to do this, right? How do you create that similar situation and try to look into the aspects of enablement, right? Aspects of enablement, that word I'm using because I've changed my perspective completely. And now whenever I look at a situation, I just say, अच्छा ये कैसे हुआ होगा, instead of thinking ये कैसे नहीं हो सकता, right? And in that context, these people, people who are her DAO, Aditi mentioned, Superwomen DAO, so many people over there that I have come in contact with that are doing like such amazing things. And then I feel like, oh, they're only thinking about how to do something. And that is a huge inspiration, right? Apart from all these people that, of course, are very celebrated, like Indra Nooyi and so many others, right? Fintech industry mein bahut sare hain. People, women leading companies to IPO with like kids and everything. And I'm like, it gives a lot of confidence that, okay, if they can do it, even if it's something like a media business, look at your story, right? Shraddha has done a great job, right? And then you
Phenomenal.
think about phenomenal, and then you think about, okay, these are all things that you can do instead of thinking कि अच्छा ये नहीं हो सकता, correct? So those are role models. I also want to give a huge shout to people who are probably not women, but have really, really changed my perspective in life. From those two students in the dorm who introduced me to finance, they're still very good friends of mine, right? But I've had like so much to learn from my male peer group as well. Because I want to say this out loud that if you're a guy out there and you have a sister, a friend, a spouse, anybody, right, who you think has the skill sets to contribute to this evolving space, please do not like hold yourself back from supporting that decision or from making that information available. Because I know how I have been the benefactor of such things from my male peers, including, of course, a huge shout to my husband who has supported everything that I do, right? But yes, it's a very real thing. So here is like, yeah, these are the people that I really look up to for solving any problem. And little plug over here for people who can participate in the enablement much more. So all I want to say is, please don't hold yourself back, and go out there and enable. It'll come back to you like 1,000 times over. So please do the needful. All of us do need to do our needful for that.
That's amazing. And अगर आप beneficiary रह चुके हैं किसी के kindness का, then please pay it forward, because that's the
That's
beauty of the.
the plan.
Yeah, please pay it forward. Swati, I could keep listening to you. Like, I could buy an annual subscription and keep listening to you, because you're like a full-on life coach, full of these viral quotes kind of a person.
Yeah.
अगर आपने इसके बारे में सोचा नहीं है, maybe this is a side hustle, multiple revenue stream for you. I'm happy to pick it up and collaborate with you on this.
Next book I want to mention is by Swati Agrawal, Samosa Shop.
Imagine. No, genuinely.
The samosa stall. Buy the samosa stall.
No, I
Absolutely.
loved it.
Really
Some of the
hit.
things you said, the way you do something is the way you do everything, and all these. It's really, really. I'm going away from this conversation with a lot of this wisdom, and you're making it so easy and palatable. Really, really love that. Okay, last question to you, Aditi Chopra of Superwomen DAO. कि क्या होने वाला है आगे? क्या भविष्य है Web3 का देश में, Superwomen DAO का? क्या क्रांति मचाने वाली हैं आप और आपके सारे जो दोस्त हैं?
Superwomen.
Superwomen हैं.
So, पूरा क्रांति तो पता चलेगा how the government takes it. But हम क्या करने वाले हैं उसमें we have a lot of thoughts. Been working on this for a while now, trying to figure out. एक चीज जो क्या होती है कि जब आप कोई community use case के ऊपर बना रहे होते हैं कि हाँ मैंने एक SaaS का community बनाया, आपको पता है कि आपको वही use case पे double down करना है. यहाँ पे ये community gender trade पे है. Different types of women have different types of needs. जैसे कि मैंने starting में भी बोला, किसी को education चाहिए है, किसी को hire करना है, किसी को hire होना है, किसी को fundraise करना है. Someone just wants to be part of a community for those daily updates and access and all of that. So in सब की journey के through, what we realized by talking to some of the members and a lot of observation was that education and investments. These are two things जिससे हम बहुत कुछ actually जो initially भी बात हुआ था access या achieve कर सकते हैं, access and information gaps जो हैं वो दोनों को solve कर सकते हैं. So this is the focus going forward. Next few months में आप देखेंगे कि we will be launching lots of small initiatives. Small initiatives इसलिए मैं बोल रही हूँ कि अभी हमने role models का बात किया था. Through my own journey and a lot of other people that I've talked to, we realized we want more local contextual role models also. It's fantastic to have an Indra Nooyi or a Julie Zhao as a role model, but the environments they grew in, the geographies, the demographies were very different, right? Having Swati as a role model would be a lot more relatable, right? So we want to take whatever Swati is doing to a lot more women. So that's one thing in terms of how do we want to spread awareness by these actual pillars of the ecosystem. Doubling down on education via partnerships. We will not be creating as much innovation in education as we want to curate. A lot of people, a lot of protocols, change exchanges have created those education paradigms. We want to be a place where we're able to partner with these people and bring it to our community. Our niche always has to be community building and bringing more and more women in. And through these curated and very easy to understand and sort of contextualized in a way that, hey, this is for India, this is in the languages that you speak in. Right. Those kind of things we're looking at. And then the investments thing that I talked about, like building a scout function in the DAO. We don't want to create a fund, but we do want to take the women founders who are part of our community to the VCs, through an accelerated access. कि इनको आज ही बात कराना है, quick connects करवाने हैं, quick eyeballs gain करवाना है. So how do we do that? So these are few of the things that you will expect. And another one initiative that we're doing with another DAO, which is a global DAO with Superwomen, is FTT DAO, where the focus is entirely open grants for education. So tomorrow, if Swati talked about a lot of grants in college students. So anyone who thinks that, hey, I know this thing and I would like to educate our audience about this, we want to ease out everything with them in terms of place, grants, whatever you want. The team will help. All you have to worry is, how am I going to deliver and impart that education and knowledge that I have? So that's also something that we're doing with FTT starting next month in India. It's a beautiful project. We've gotten a lot of monetary and mentorship support from them. So yay, looking forward to lots of things.
Looking forward to a multitude of army of super women in India, Web3 की दुनिया में. Also, आप ने जो भी कहा है, I mean, I hope you are meeting folks at CoinSwitch also, because all these missions that you're on,
everyone.
Publicly stated missions, हम काफी काम कर रहे हैं उसके ऊपर, whether it is the CoinSwitch Web3 Discovery Fund or even the content and education.
You name the person, I would know them honestly at this point.
I'm sure.
Someone from CoinSwitch is actually leading the content newsletter initiative with Superwomen as well. So yeah, that's a wonderful thing.
So cool. Okay, this has been one of the best chats that I've had on CoinSwitch Kuber, and इसका पूरा श्रेय, पूरा credit जाता है आप दोनों amazing super women को. And thanks a million इतना वक्त निकाल के इतने सारे actionable tips हमारे साथ share करने के लिए. I'm sure bunch of DAOs, bunch of communities इस वीडियो को share करेंगे, because exactly आपने बताया है, अगर कोई शुरू करना चाहता है उनका Web3 का दौर या जर्नी, तो कैसे क्या बेबी स्टेप्स लिए जा सकते हैं. थैंक्स सो मच वंस अगेन. कहां पर, कैसे, कौन से सोशल मीडिया पे आपको फॉलो कर सकते हैं, इफ यूड लाइक टू स्टेट दैट?
Go ahead, Aditi doesn't need to state it.
No, I do. I mean, कुछ बनाना है तो शुरू तो करना पड़ेगा, organic marketing चाहिए. But I'm very active on Twitter. I am at Aditi Chopra X. I mean, that's the username everywhere on all social platforms. And I will be very happy to contribute whatever I can in someone's journey. And yeah, that's it.
Aditi Chopra X on Twitter. Swati?
मैं अपना ट्विटर हैंडल नहीं बताऊंगा. It's actually 0x Trippy Bunny. Trippy Bunny. I'm active on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. So Swati Agrawal, AGRAWAL वाला Agrawal.
That was a clarification जो मैं मांगती अगर आप नहीं देते तो. अग्रवाल. Our community is on steroids.
So Swati Agrawal with an AGRA on Instagram, LinkedIn and Twitter. And my Twitter handle is 0x Trippy Bunny. Why Trippy Bunny? Another shameless plug. I wanted to actually start make a comic book, so that even kids can come into Web3. Concepts like staking, because I realized like so many concepts that are just like, they seem so obtuse, but they needn't have to be. Like, they're actually pretty simple, like if explained to a 5-year-old. So I wanted to create a comic book character who would have been called Trippy Bunny. And this Trippy Bunny would have educated the world about DeFi. That is still in the back burner. If anyone is a cartoonist, NFT artist, wants to collaborate on that. But yes, those are my socials, and happy to connect for anything and everything. Yeah, just hit me up, and very happy to be a part of your journey and make you a part of mine.
Amazing. To all the viewers, please subscribe to CoinSwitch Kuber's YouTube channel to get this and other amazing content right in your inboxes. This has been an absolute thrilling interview. Thanks so much, Swati. Thank you, Aditi. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Ankit.
Ankit.
Crypto products and NFTs are unregulated and can be highly risky. There may be no regulatory recourse for any loss from such transactions.